Hello and welcome to Ham Nation, episode 617 for February 11th, 2026. Where am I? Who am I? I don't even know, but I'm getting ready for Hamcation, about to ship out of here tomorrow morning early. So we got a nice, fun show for you. We got Randy back and all our favorite hosts, so let's say hi to them right now. How's it going, everybody? Hey, Mardi Gras! All
Mardi
right.
Gras.
Yeah. Well, you're doing Orlando. We're going to be doing this.
Don is all kitted out. Look at that guy. I love it. Randy, how you doing? You're looking good up there. Glad you're back safe and sound from
back.
your
I've been back
your
for a little over a
journey.
week now. Yep. I'm not quite done with it. The trailer is now fixed, but it's down south of Lodi. So I'll be headed down to the Petaluma area in March. So hope to go to KPH, which I wasn't able to go to in October because of their shutdown. And then I'll go down and get the trailer and bring it home.
Very good. Very good.
Good deal.
And Gordo, how you doing tonight?
We're doing fine and have great success at Orlando, number 2 on the largest ham radio shows in the world.
That's right. And I will be having fun regardless. And in the chat there, Dell is throwing ferrite beads to you there, Don, in honor of Mardi Gras. So
I need all the help I can get.
yeah.
I'm not going to take my shirt off, though. Not for ferrite beads.
How are you doing
Something
otherwise?
better.
What, oh, something better. Okay, what is it?
Yeah. Well, make me an offer.
I was waiting for him to say what he would work for beads for.
Okay.
That's a short list.
And Amanda, how are you doing this evening?
Team USA. That's how
Yes,
I'm
ma'am.
doing.
Yes.
Loving the Olympics so far. Americans are working for every single medal they're getting this year. They've got a lot of good competition, but good old USA, I'm here rooting for them. And I try to sneak in and watch during the day if I can. So that's how we're doing. I'm getting ready to go to a ham fest this weekend. It's the Swap Fest at Adams County Fairgrounds, if anyone is in the
Nice.
Denver area. So sure, it's one of the biggest ones. We get about 500 people there. So
Good.
it's a pretty good turnout.
That'll be
And
nice.
what else is going on? I'm trying to get some radio time in. I just haven't had a lot of time, but I'm hoping to get it on the air maybe a little bit on Saturday. A lot of QSO parties and small contests and stuff have been going on. So you need to stretch out the legs on this antenna getting ready for the DX contest coming up. So
Good.
anyhow, I've got my same old. I've got Hammer and Cannon and should they have called ARES. And I'll be watching the chat. So everyone have a fantastic show. We got a good lineup for you tonight. So Gordo, it's all yours.
All right. Well, I'm going to talk about a terrible subject tonight, and that is noise. Yeah, noise on HF, noise on VHF. By the way, the good old LED 110 AC light bulb is most noisy on 2 meters 440. Whereas other noisemakers, well, we'll bump into them in just a second. So what do you say we take a look at noise and jump right into the ionosphere? So here we go with noise. First of all, you need to identify where the noise is coming in on high frequency. That's where the noise sources are absolutely tearing things apart on HF these days. Well, to make sure that it's not right in your own shack, unplug the coax that goes to your outdoor antenna and maybe just put a little wire onto that center pin of the coax receiver, the SO239. And if you still hear the noise, it's yours. Yeah, it's your noise. Well, there's noise that comes out of the earth as well as the atmosphere, as well as the ionosphere. And they listen to it way down about 60 hertz. Not kilohertz, but 60 hertz. Here's what's called spheres. Take a listen to the sound of spheres. Yep, those little pops are coming off of the charged ionosphere, and spherics is a real problem that we all have to live with if it goes away. Let's hope that we continue to hear spherics, but only way down on ultra low frequency. As we go higher up in the radio dial, then we run into lightning noise. And lightning noise is quite distinctive. And lightning noise sounds a little bit like this, and you can identify it on this tab by listening and listening. And you know it's real close when the lightning hits, and all of a sudden your AGC action takes a couple seconds. Now, where Josh is going, no, Josh, this is not.
You got me worried, Gordo. You got me worried.
It's not the forecast. No, you're good.
The forecast is clear as a bell in Orlando this weekend. But we were hearing during this thunderstorm this kind of noise. Oh, that's a good one.
That audio is pretty hot, Gordo. That secondary audio is pretty hot if you duck it a little bit.
All right.
Thank you.
We'll fix that. So lightning noise is one we just sort of have to live with. And lightning noise is a good way to test how your receiver is doing. So, and our receiver was nice and hot. So when there's lightning, that's the best time to disconnect your rig from the outside antenna. And even though you may have an antenna switch, the switch may not be enough. Lightning arresters are great, but even the best circuit is before the storm comes overhead, simply unscrew the SO or the PL259 and you'll be in good shape. Fog noise. Well, Randy knows about fog noise, and I do too. I know Don and Don never has any fog noise.
Oh,
down
no,
there.
not this is our fog season, Gordo. We have it every morning now. Yeah.
Really? Amanda, do you ever have fog in your neck of the woods, Amanda?
Very rarely.
Okay, well, you won't need to worry about this. The fog noise is just a very subtle noise level that builds and builds, and that's the characteristic of fog noise. That's what it sounds like for fog noise.
But you can actually, we live really close to some really high tension wires, like the big stuff that, like 17,000 volts or whatever it is. And you can actually hear it with your ears. Right. You can hear it with your ear, and it's a freaky feeling. Yeah, it's really bizarre.
Yeah, and if you take a look, it's the very two top lines that have no coating on the outside. That's why the birds only sit on it with one, or stand on it with 1 foot. The three that you see down below there, that's 240, and those usually have a covering on them, so they don't generate much noise. The next one down looks like it's the cable television, streaming services, and so on. That may generate some spurs. And the one below it with a very ugly amplifier just sort of hanging there, that's part of the phone system. And hopefully that's not real noisy. But every so often when you get real close to the big boys, there we go. Does that remind you of your place?
No, we got the big ones on the great big metal towers.
Oh.
We've got the huge feeder ones that go all across the state, and it's like literally about a half a mile away from me.
Well, when those things get have a problem, sometimes they begin in the fog to arc. And here's what an arc sounds like on the big boys. And you'll notice that after each major arc, there's silence, and that's because the AGC on your radio is taking over from the very giant lightning or the power line strike. Solar panels, it's not the panels that are giving off the noise, but it's this little device at the base of the panels. And this is where you want to make sure that whoever has done the install has it well grounded and so on. And that's the solar controller that's feeding the batteries on the other side of that wall. And that noise is an erratic noise, but you can tell that it's probably solar noise because as the batteries are charged up in the mid-afternoon, when they begin to get a full charge, you're going to find that it's going to start pulsing, and that's how it is reducing the amount of current that's going into the battery. And that pulsing comes across 40 meters and 20 meters pretty badly. And at nighttime, after the sun sets, the pulsing stops, and at least you can work some good DX and hear stations that are coming in. You don't need to buy a big exotic DFer to try and find these noise sources. Just a small little AM FM radio like this will do the trick. But you need to know that when you have problems receiving signals, it may not be noise. A few weeks ago on 6 meters, we had strong auroras. And I don't know, Amanda, Amanda, you saw the aurora. And Don,
I did.
you see it? Yeah. And Don, any aurora? Don?
I'm muted. No, not down here. Too far south, and my neighbor's stupid lights on.
He's too low.
Yeah.
Too much fog here.
And Randy, you probably saw the aurora up there in Oregon.
I fogged out.
Fog.
Oh, fogged out. All right. Well, on CW, you can make out signals pretty well.
That's still too hot. A little lighter. There we go. That's perfect. A little more.
Okay, and then here's the aurora sound of CW. Nope, that's not. Hang on, it's coming.
Next tape.
There you go.
Yeah.
So that's the sound of CW. Now, if you think that's bad, it's not noise that's causing the problem. It's the ionosphere. Listen to what voice sounds like off an aurora on 6 meters and even 10 meters.
See the aurora borealis from your location. Over.
It's exorcist.
Oh,
voice.
yeah. Okay. Yeah, I got every word of that, whatever the heck you said.
It's underwater.
Sounds like the
So
Exorcist.
auroras on the 6 meter band can really tear things up. Now, a simple little AM FM radio like this, even many handhelds have the AM function to listen to aeronautical transmissions, which are double sideband AM. So if you have a little portable rig that has AM, sometimes you have to turn it on to the AM mode. You're not going to hear noise sparks to try and track it down with a handheld if you're an FM, but go to AM, go down about 120, 125 megs, and you'll be able to quite easily hear it. On noise sources that are affecting a specific band, then it's good to have a multi-band shortwave type of receiver. It does not have to have sideband. All it needs is AM. And even though you might not hear the hams clearly, well, you will hear a few on 75 meters on AM. Nonetheless, you'll still be able to track down the noise. And track down is simply walking the walk and seeing as the noise gets stronger and stronger on that AM radio. Well, gee whiz, it gets strong right in my own house. Oh, yeah.
Imagine that.
Yeah, imagine that. Well, now it's time, if you just can't seem to isolate it by unplugging every mama thing plugged into AC, you go to the fuse panel and you do what you really hate to do, and that is you got to turn off selected rooms. And you need to be monitoring with that radio to tell when you got the right room. And that way you'll be able to isolate, well, it's coming from the kitchen or the garage or whatever. Now, to be able to hear it, though, on your sideband radio or your ham radio, you got to run the radio because you just turned off the power. You got to run it on a battery. And all good hams should have a battery, because it's always a great deal when the power goes off for the entire neighborhood and you are still lit. Don, as in you get the idea. So battery, good backup. Never discount the size of what the noisemaker may be doing and how far it goes. This little mama went for an entire block, and it took me weeks to finally find the right house. Knocked on the door very nicely. We finally found it, and it was just a wall wart feeding a little battery and a little solar panel to go along with it. And it was switcher technology, and switcher technology is inherently noisy, just terribly noisy. And on picking up weather facsimile broadcasts on 136 megs, you could begin to see all the interference lines coming through. So if you do a lot of graphics, there you go. You can also, to help pinpoint noise to someone other than your own house, is if you have a beam antenna, simply start swinging the beam and see where the noise gets worse. And I like tuning in to WWV because it's always on the air and it's going to be a constant signal. Oh, yeah. When you see this on your pan adapter and you waterfall display, this is microprocessor noise. And that noise is generally within your own home, I hate to say. No, it's not a wall wart. It's not a battery charger. It's MPU, the microprocessor. Randy knows all about them. And this was a noise source that came up on a small device I had. As soon as I turned it off, presto. So watch your scope. And you see stuff like this, even without a waterfall, welcome to microprocessor. Or when you scan across the band and you're hearing all sorts of strange noises, then you know you've got a real noise source, probably on a computer or something generating noise. Now, some noise comes from other circuits in the house. This one is a battery charger, and the battery charger was advertised as it gives pulses to exercise the battery. Well, I've never watched a battery exercise, but I can sure hear it. This is what it looked like on the scope, and it's called the pulse charger. And the cure there is no filter, no magic filter in your radio. Just unplug, not your radio, unplug the charger, and the noise disappears. Sometimes, though, it takes about 3 to 5 seconds to disappear because of the big charged capacitor that may be part of that circuit.
And then
There
you take
you
it
go,
to a swap
Randy.
meet. Yeah. And then you take it to a swap meet, right?
Yeah, there you go. One that you'll be going to only once. In between these good signal pulses, you see a lot of noise beginning to build up. So even if you operate digital, as Randy does, you can really help see where the noise source is maybe interrupting some of those contacts. Oh, this mama. Yeah, listen to this. Off, on.
Yep.
Off, on. Well, that's a tough one because there's no unplugging the dimmer. That one, you're just going to have to leave it either all the way on or all the way off, and you'll be able to hear signals. That's a high frequency noise that won't normally affect VHF or UHF. A little tiny, inexpensive AM radio is what I use. Sometimes if the noise is really severe, I'll wrap it with a little Reynolds wrap and walk around. Yeah, they got little loops that go on these things like that. But the little loops are not going to necessarily help you out in trying to pinpoint the noise. And look for any device that's part 15. Usually the part 15 devices are pretty noise-free. They're called unintentional radiators. The noise goes about 3 to 5 feet. Almost everything in your ham shack or your home electronics emits a little bit of noise. So everybody will say, well, you just snap a filter. No, it's coming off the whole device. You can certainly try an isolator. Palomar Engineers has a ton of these snap-on filters, and they are terrific because you can snap them on and take them off without having to undo a circuit to get them to slide on. So I sure like those. And what's your coax? Look at this. The coax on the top, that I bought at a ham store, and it's got both aluminum shielding as well as silver tin copper. The middle coax is not bad. It's probably about 80%, 90% braid. Look at that stuff down there at the bottom. Wow. That's leaky coax that comes from the CB era. And that stuff will certainly pick up noise along the way as it heads to your antenna. So make sure that your coax cable is good quality and that your connectors are on nice and tight. Digital signal processing is good for specific types of noise. And up on VHF and UHF, you'll find that we do use a lot. And the BHI company, they're in Europe, but they're over here with great products that you'll see at Orlando. And let me tell you, they really help out when trying to tune in digital beacons or some of the other stations that are way out there. And you're trying to get them on UHF. Well, fluorescent signals, fluorescent noise, have a very distinctive sound. And what it is a sound that'll go from low to high. And that is the good old fluorescent noise. And there you just have to shut it off. Usually found in a mobile home, a lot of fluorescent lights. So that's one you just have to get turned off to solve that. LED lights on the outside of vehicles and stuff like that, big camper vans. It's not the LEDs that make the noise. The noise is not there when the light is turned all the way on or all the way off. It's that dimmer switch that is pulsing. And that pulsing dimmer switch is what causes the light to get dimmer, the LEDs to get dimmer, but it radiates all along the line. So if you have somebody parked next to you, just tell them either turn your light all the way on or all the way off, but your dimmers are killing reception. And many times when we do digital, we can take a look and you can see the noise of a fluorescent going from low to high as it actually sweeps through the band. We see that in the yellow area on this digital mode. And again, oh yeah, this is great. If you have a washing machine that sounds like this on 40 meters, oh, yeah. Well, there's no magic filter. Just wait till the wash is done before you start to make a QSO. And again, you're tracking noise with a portable radio. This is the C. Crane line of radios. And C. Crane is a great company. They make some great radio receivers. You do not need to have a big, expensive one. Just a little tiny one that we showed earlier will do the trick in being able to come up close to the noise.
I can't get over the fax machine in the background. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those were the days, huh? Well, anyway, that fax machine was pretty quiet. And you're always going to get a little bit of noise with an AM radio when you hold it right on the machine. That's just give the machine a break. That's just happens. But when you get 3 feet away, or the next room and you turn it off by unplugging the plug and the noise stops, then you know you got a real noise maker. And aboard RVs and motorhomes as well as yachts, top right-hand corner, good Icom radios there on the left side, marine sideband as well as VHF. But that battery charging circuit many times will generate noise that will really render reception tough on HF. So remember, a little tiny receiver like this can do a great job in tracking down noise. Don't blame your light bulbs. That noise is usually just found on VHF, and it'll raise your S meter about a half an S to 1 S unit. And I hope that you're able to lick the noise. No magic filter, no magic clamp on toroid, no little round ones like this. You just have to stop the noise. And usually to stop the noise on most of today's electronics, that's not adding anything to the circuit, but just unplugging it or taking it offline when you're doing your deal on 40 or 70 or wherever you operate. So, Randy, have fun in Orlando. Wish I could be there. And I'll look forward to hearing all about Orlando when you come back.
It's
Gordo, I
Josh.
have-
It's Josh
Yeah,
that's
Josh.
going to Orlando.
It's
Josh is
me.
going to Orlando, but it's
Oh, Randy's not going?
No.
Oh, I thought you were going to maybe go with Josh. Okay.
Oh.
All right.
I'm picking you up, Randy. Get ready.
Yeah.
So
I have a
Josh,
couple of questions, Gordo.
Brief detour.
Brief detour, right? So have you heard about some of the latest technologies causing problems in our shacks, such as Tesla Powerwalls or our IoTs, such as my Alexa in the kitchen, things like that? Are
Mm.
those causing noises on HF?
oh yeah, when they park a electric vehicle in front of our house, many times I can detect that the noise is up there, and they appear to be something in the microprocessor because I'll see them every maybe 100 kilohertz, and of course trying to operate high frequency from any of the electric vehicles, unless you're pulled over and stopped and working just off a battery, HF mobile is tough on a new all electric vehicles.
Josh might know more about that.
Yeah,
but-
my truck can be quite noisy on HF while driving. I can do higher frequency stuff just fine. So from 10 meters and up, I'm pretty good. I got a couple of questions here too. Did you do yours, Amanda, or did you have some more? Yeah.
But Don's power problem, his power noise. I pulled that
Yeah.
up.
Yeah.
I'll
Pull
share
that.
my screen.
Pull
Let's see.
the tower pick up. This
I
is
Share screen. There we go.
yeah.
Here.
This is our little power line that's about a half a mile from the house.
Ooh,
Oh
my goodness.
Yeah. That
Oh,
stretches
my.
all the
That
way
goes for miles and miles and
Wow.
miles.
state. That is a huge feeder line, goes all across the state, and that's about.
Damn.
I drive under that every day to and from work,
You
so
can
it's
feel
right
your
about a
teeth.
half a mile from my house. And when it's really, really, really foggy outside, it sounds like bacon frying.
Yeah. Yep. Many times you can hear them.
Yep.
Yep.
Gordo, question from Brett Glass is asking, should Ham switch to all linear power supplies in the shack rather than switchers?
I have a couple of switchers that I don't hear any noise at all on. Some of the older switchers, you could actually get in there and change where the little sparks, or excuse me, not sparks, but the little spurs are coming up on HF. I'm not sure. I sort of like the big old power supplies just because they've been so faithful, but I've not really had a huge problem with switchers in that from the big ham companies, they've come pretty darn quiet.
Mm.
I had one of
Okay.
those early Elenco switchers that had the little noise offset button.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
you can actually
it's-
adjust something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Wow.
it was great, except it was pretty much unusable on 80 meters.
Oh,
Oh,
Yeah.
well,
Yep.
I couldn't adjust the noise out on 80 for some reason.
I got one for you, Gordo. So you have that little, C crane radio, and I've got one of those too. So my bad bands are like 40, 80 meters, a lot of high noise. So did you just go to AM on one of those loud frequencies in the band and then kind of walk around with the antenna maybe out to start, and then as you get closer, you start kind of pulling it in? You're on the frequency though where the noise is at generally, or how do you do it that way?
I use this from Sea Crane,
Mhm.
and it's a ferrite rod on the inside as the antenna.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So there's no raising or lowering. But what I do is I wrap a little bit of Reynolds wrap, and with an earphone on it, I'm then able to walk right up to a noise source. And sometimes I have to disconnect the earphone because it's acting as an antenna,
Mm.
and listen carefully. And boy, it really makes a noise when you get within 2 or 3 feet of a real noise maker.
But on
Excellent.
what frequency? What frequency do you
I
put them
go in
on?
between strong AM broadcast stations and just listen to the background rush of noise. Only a ham would do something like that. Spend all night just listening to background white noise.
Well, there
Put
you
to
go.
sleep.
Okay, well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. All right, I'll throw it off to Icom.
The season is all about connection, and Icom keeps that spirit shining with amateur radios that deliver clarity, reliability, and reach. Every call travels further, every friendship feels closer, and the airways become a place where the season's warmth never fades. Whether you're catching up with familiar voices or discovering new ones, Icom keeps every signal bright. Happy New Year from Icom. The IC7300 MK2 builds upon everything operators loved about the original IC7300, elevating it to a sharper, cleaner, and more capable HF experience. Its improved RMDR, lower phase noise, enhanced cooling, and expanded I/O options make it the next level performer for serious operators who want crystal clear reception, rock solid transmit quality, and modern conveniences that fit today's operating styles. The result is an HF 50 MHz transceiver that feels familiar yet unmistakably evolved. Improved RMDR and phase noise, lower heat generation and reduced power consumption, HDMI output for external displays, USB Type-C with dual COM ports, built-in CW decoder and audio peak filter, and RX antenna in and out connectors. The ID52A Plus is Icom's most advanced handheld for operators who want powerful digital capability, wideband flexibility, and a modern interface that brings the airways to life. With expanded D-Star performance, an upgraded 2.3-inch color display, enhanced Bluetooth functions, and simultaneous dual-band monitoring, the ID52A Plus delivers a richer, more connected experience wherever you go. It's the next evolution of handheld communications, compact, capable, and unmistakably Icom. Heard it, worked it, logged it. For more information about Icom's amateur radios and to locate a dealer, please visit icomamerica.com/amateur today.
And a big thank you to Icom. Thank you so much for sponsoring Ham Nation here on the Ham Radio Crash Course. Every time we go live, we give away 3 swag pack winners. And then at the end of the month, Icom picks a winner from that list and sends them a radio. At the end of this month, we're going to be giving away an ICV86. So if you want to get in on the giveaways, click the Enter Now button on the first link in the video description. That's the link that takes you to the website. And you can click Enter Now. You do not have to have an amateur radio license to enter or win. So, hey, that's a big plus. Now, normally, I would pick the 3 winners right now for you, but I know that the folks at Icom are getting ready for Hamcation, so we will have those the next time we're live, so it'll be a twofer. We're going to get the swag pack winners from this episode and then the next episode, and then we're going to give the radio at the end of the month. So thanks again to Icom. We very much appreciate you. And now we're going to do, I guess we're calling it a new segment. It's Ramblin' with Randy. I love it. Amanda came up with that. Ramblin' with Randy. So what's going on in Randy's world today?
We're going to take a little look at my operation in our little group at Quartzfest, what we were doing there. You know, was it 2 weeks ago? Gordo had overall Quartzfest activities going on. So I'm going to take a look at the activities in my corner of the place there. So let me get the screen up here. And here we go. So coming through.
Great.
There we go.
Looking good, yeah.
Yeah. Chat GPT did all this for me. So anyway, I lost the bearing on that tire right in front of the fire guy there, and it also took out the axle, so the thing was tipped. And when I got out of the truck, I looked underneath. I saw flames coming out of the bearing grease. So I had a fire extinguisher in the back seat, so I was able to put it out. But before they would tow it, they had to get the approval from the fire department. So these guys showed up about 20 minutes later and gave it a good shot just to cool it down. But it was cold. So anyway, they put it on a dolly and hauled it up to Camping World. So we took it up there on a Friday afternoon. They weren't able to do anything till Monday. So I checked into the hotel and went back over there Monday morning. And they said, yeah, we got to replace the axle and stuff. So, and over the weekend, I kind of thought that was going to happen. My wife found a site where we can rent RVs. So we found one, a trailer just up the road from Barry's house, K7GVB in Tucson. So I had to take everything out of my trailer. All my linen, my clothes, my food, all my electronics, and I had it all on the ground, and then I put it all in the truck. So So I looked like I was living out of my truck there, just right up to the ceiling. So this is the rental we picked up, and it was in Tucson underneath this covered storage, which meant the battery was dead. So we had to hook up my truck just in order to run the tongue jack up and down. We got to Barry's house, put it on a 20 amp charger for like the whole day, and then hauled it out to Quartzfest. So here it is set up. And this trailer wasn't really set up for boondocking. Doing Quartzfest for 10 years, you learn how to survive out there and how to maintain everything yourself and live off the sun and your tanks in your rig. And so at 10 o'clock the first night, the refrigerator starts beeping and it shows an error code of 03. I look on my phone, low voltage. So the battery that was on the trailer was an 88 amp hour sealed lead acid battery, which meant maybe 44 amp hours of usefulness out of it. And of course, it wasn't holding a charge. So I took my 100 amp hour lithium iron phosphate battery and set it on the bracket right by their battery and moved the cables over and ran the trailer off my battery for the entire week. And so I was able to use the solar panel. I'm not sure how much there was up on the roof here, plus my two 100 watt panels. And that battery would last 2 nights with the refrigerator running and the furnace. The blower takes about 5 amps. These 200 watts or 400 watts worth of panels here power my EcoFlow power bank. And a couple of days later, I hung another 100 watt panel on the back of the trailer. So I was doing pretty good then for power. Boy, did we eat good. Amy here is making pizzas. So one night she's got this propane pizza oven. She made the dough balls up at home before coming out to Quartzfest, and she would kind of form it out and do a little flip in the air, put some pizza sauce on there and a whole bunch of different toppings and cheese and pop it in that oven. And 90 seconds later, you had a pizza. So we basically all had our own pizzas that night and probably a couple of extras. And I didn't get any pictures of this, but she also brought a couple of Dutch ovens. And Gordo, you remember what she made with those?
Oh yeah, we had ice cream, baked ice cream, and you name it.
Yeah, so we had good desserts. Amy and Jerry brought along one of these little, I think about a $35. It's kind of a toy camera, low resolution, black and white, and it's got a little printer slot here. So you press the button and it's like an old Polaroid, but it prints out a picture. So they were wandering around all the time, documenting the Quartzfest activities. Here she's got a bunch of pictures of my satellite antenna and Barry, and here's Mikey working and their cat and stuff like that. So just a lot of what was going on. And yeah, had a lot of fun with that. That's probably be a neat thing to buy. Get one of those. Here's Amy with one of their fuzz balls, one of their cats. I had two, and this is one of the nights that Gordo stopped by to get warmed up from the fire. And here's Barry and Mike over here, a couple of the guys in our gang. So we'd had a good fire every night.
Great
Here's
fire.
Great fire, yeah. Here's Jerry and Amy with their, you can't tell it there, but it's got their IC 705 working FT8, sitting here by their propane heater. And when the pump out truck guy shows up, everybody's really happy, especially when he didn't show up on the day he was supposed to. He came the next day. So yeah, when your tanks get full, life is not happy. So 10 minutes later, life was all good again for Amy and Jerry. I did a session about tools and gadgets and gizmos. One morning, Gordo was there, and
It
I
was
brought a
the
bunch of
best.
stuff.
Look at all that. What a great layout, Randy.
So I had all
That
these
was
layouts.
amazing for you to have that, like a price list, QR
Yeah.
code to go to
Oh,
what
QR
the gadget
codes.
was. It was
Wonderful.
That's
a
very
brilliant
good.
idea.
Yeah,
It was
you
the
could see
best.
people, coming up, shooting the QR codes and dragging people over. So I had tools, radios, use that little solar panel USB thing, Josh, that you pointed me out to. I don't know, a tiny SA and a low watt meter and a frequency counter and Meshtastic. And I'm going to drop out of the sharing here. But guess what got the most attention?
What's that?
the Nimbot label maker.
Oh, there it is. Yep.
What?
Which I also told
This-
Randy about.
Yeah, $17 label maker. Use it on your phone. You know, it prints out labels. I imagine at least a dozen people bought those things from my presentation and a Zoom call that I did
They're fantastic.
a week later. So yeah, that was the big hit. So you know, the cheapest thing. You know, I started off saying, you know, I had one of those brother ones where, you know, it has
P-Touch.
yeah, P-Touch, and you can't get the backing off the label, and it uses
I have
AAA
2 of
batteries,
those. Yeah.
and the batteries are always dead, and everybody's nodding
Mhm.
their head. Yeah.
I've lost
So
both
this is the
power
satellite.
supplies to them. I know exactly what you're talking
Yeah.
about.
Yeah. Well, you're supposed to label the power supplies with the label maker. So you,
Well,
as
Jeff
you know
has
which
replaced them,
one.
Randy.
He's put them off somewhere else.
Yes.
So I brought my tracking satellite antenna system. So the close antenna is the 2-meter one, and here's the 435. So 4 elements here. And this is a 9x9 cross. And since, you know, my trailer, I had a way to get cables in the trailer. This trailer, I just ran them through the window. So the kitchen sink is right here. So here's the wad of cables going in there. So there's 2 control cables for the rotor. There's 2 big coaxes. There's at least 3 different DC cables coming out of the solar power stuff, which leads me to this picture, which Amanda showed last week.
Yeah.
So the reason it's all here, I was going to set it all up on the dinette here, but I didn't want to have all those cables across the floor and trip on and pull equipment off. So the cables were coming right through this window here. So that's where it all ended up. So it was only a 7-day remote. So, you know, it's, but it worked great. I had a lot of contacts through the International Space Station. I really enjoyed working the RS-44, the Russian satellite with the linear transponder, because you go up on 2-meter lower sideband and you receive on 435 upper sideband, and you can tune around. In fact, I was talking to a fellow, and next thing I hear somebody saying, "Randy, is that you?" And it was my buddy John from Fairbanks, and he recognized my voice. And that satellite's in a little higher orbit, so if you're really lucky, you can have a 20-minute pass.
Wow.
So everything was good. I had my, you know, satellite controller here. The rotor box is sitting up on the counter. It was moving the antennas, setting the radio, and chasing Doppler. And it was really neat because as you change your receive frequency, the controller's moving your transmit frequency to keep you basically, you know, netted to make sure you're still able to hear yourself. So it's really a neat controller that automates the radio and automates the antennas.
Takes a lot of the work away from you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, and so while I was sitting in Tucson at Barry's house, waiting to see if my trailer would get done so I could pick it up on the way home, we went to the Mirror Lab. This is at the University of Arizona. It's underneath the football stadium seats. And in here, they produce mirrors for telescopes.
Oh.
And the project they've been working on is the mirrors for the giant Magellan telescope going down to Chile. And they have this big oven here. So this thing all comes apart. So in the base of the oven, they have all these hexagon spacers. They're about 1 foot tall, and there's like probably a couple hundred of them in there with maybe a 3/4 of an inch space. What they're trying to do is make a, quote, a lightweight mirror, because if it was all solid glass, it would probably break under its own weight. So they get all that loaded up in there. The glass they get from Japan, it takes the company there 2 years to make enough glass for 1 mirror.
Wow.
Give you an idea of the time scale of this here. So they place all the glass in there. They have like a catwalk that comes over so that people can lay down and on their belly and put the glass on the top of all this structure. They then bolt all this oven together. It spins at 48 RPM, and they heat it up to 1200 degrees.
Whoa.
And so as it's spinning, the glass is taking the kind of the coarse shape of the mirror. And then they cool it down at 3 degrees per day. So probably the heating and the cooling takes 4 to 6 months.
Jeez.
This is a long, slow process. When they get it done here, they break the oven apart, they lift it up on a crane. There's an enclosed area, and they can use a pressure washer to spray out, clean out all these cores that they put in there. And that takes about a month of just pressure washing.
Wow.
Then they have an area that they do the initial grinding to get it closer to the shape. And what we see here is one mirror, and this is on the polishing machine. So this gantry goes back and forth, and between the grinding and the polishing, they have a big area that they can measure the shape of the mirror. And they have multiple different methods to measure the shape because they say we don't want to have a Hubble experience.
No, not
Right.
at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right, right. Whereas perfectly wrong. So they polish this to 1/1,000,000th of an inch.
Wow.
The telescope will take 7 of these, and they got it down now to about a 4.5-year process to make a single mirror.
What?
3 are completed. They're in great big, and say like caskets stored at a climate control hangar out at the Tucson airport. They have special trucks that can tip them up so you can take them down the road. They'll have a ship that they'll actually will weld these containers into the base of the ship so nothing moves. The other 4 mirrors are currently in different stages of production here. So this is what it's going to be when it's all done up on the top of the mountain down
Wow.
here in Chile. So there'll be 7 of these 24 to 25 foot diameter mirrors. It's overall about 85 feet across. I asked them what's the status of the project down there, and they said, well, the mountain is flattening. We're starting on the foundation. They said we are a cathedral building. It's probably a 40 to 50 year project from the initial concept
Wow.
to first light going through the telescope.
Wow.
That's
So
crazy.
it's about a 20, 25 year project just to make the mirrors. So that was a fascinating tour.
I bet.
The next day, we went up to Kitt Peak, and we were on the tour. We were supposed to go through the 4-meter telescope, but they blew up a couple power panels in there that morning. So they said, we can't do that tour, but how about the solar telescope? And Barry says, yes, because he's never seen it, and it's very unique. It's, I don't know, maybe the only one in the world like it. So what this solar telescope is, it looks like a mine shaft. There's this 100-foot tall tower here, and there's mirrors up here at the top. You can see them looking up from the inside, that they will point it at the sun or the moon, and it will reflect the light down this tunnel. So it's about 150 feet above ground. It ends up being a total of 500 feet long, this tunnel. It bounces off a mirror at the bottom, comes back up to another mirror, which then projects the image into a viewing room. This is not operational anymore. This was built back in the 60s. It's now a reach out and educational facility. So this is what you see in the viewing room. This is the table that the image was projected on, and here they are simulating a sun image. You can see the sunspots on there. And then I placed my phone here in the middle and pointed it straight up, so you can see the mirror that's just up above us here, shooting the image down here. And during the Apollo days, all the Apollo astronauts came out here to look at the moon, where they were going, and they have a guest book up in the museum lobby with the signatures from all the Apollo astronauts.
Oh, wow.
So
That's cool.
yeah,
That is so cool.
yeah. So anyway, on the way home, we had to stop in the middle of the road and wait for these elk to clear off the road. They're big. You don't want to get near them. So I don't know what this guy was doing out there, but anyway, that's how I spent my Quartzfest vacation.
Nice.
It looks
Wonderful.
fantastic, Randy.
That's cool.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it was good. The tours were great. So yeah.
Well, here's to hoping you get your trailer home soon.
Yeah. Yep. Got to get it home. Yep.
Yeah.
Soon.
All right. I think we're going to Dawn now.
Well, why don't we then? We've got a nice report from Dr. T that is just 24 hours old. We just got it yesterday. So that along with the news from the Amateur Radio Newsline, folks. So let's just go do that then. All right. From Amateur Radio Newsline report number 2519, this is Ham Nation headlines for Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Our top story is Bouvet Island. The de-expedition to the most remote uninhabited island on our planet is facing a delay.
If you're keeping your ears tuned for the start of the 3Y0KD expedition to Bouvet Island, the thing you're going to need more than good propagation, sufficient power, a good antenna, and of course good timing is patience. The team's plans have been delayed by about 2 weeks, according to their website. Their sailing vessel is undergoing additional maintenance to secure it for the journey to the remote island. The team writes, and I quote, "While this delay is disappointing, the safety of our team remains our highest priority." End quote. According to the team, nothing else about the team's game plan has changed, and after 3 years of planning, they are looking forward to being QRV before too long. This is Graham Kemp, VK4BB.
Fans of the Ham Clock Shack accessory are still shaken by the death of its developer, and now they're working hard to preserve his legacy.
With last month's tragic death of ham clock developer Elwood Downey, WB0OEW, the clock is ticking, quite literally, on a way to salvage this popular shack accessory so it remains useful beyond its scheduled sunset in June. Brian Wilkins, KO4AQF, the developer of an open source alternative, has posted his in-work progress on the GitHub website in hopes of providing real-time ham clock data feeds from publicly available locations, such as PSK Reporter and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. The final iteration of ham clock is version 4.22, with no further maintenance possible on its internet backend. News, propagation updates, DX, and other data will no longer be delivered to the device after it sunsets. Brian was not involved in the creation of the original ham clock, but said this replacement project, a free open source Linux-based system, is an outgrowth of, quote, my own motivation and passion, end quote. He told Newsline in an email that, quote, the goal is preservation, not reinvention, keeping ham clock working exactly as intended for years to come, end quote. To see the work that is underway, follow the link in the text version of this week's Newsline script at arnewsline.org. This is Kevin Trotman, N5PRE.
When the QSO they made via the Oscar III satellite in March of 1965, a ham in Switzerland and a ham in Germany changed the shape of satellite QSOs to come. It was a first for amateur radio, and one that AMSAT HB in Switzerland is again honoring with the HB9RG trophy.
There was not yet a global satellite community when Hans Rudolf Lauber, HB9RG, and Alphonse Haring, DL6EZA, made their pioneering satellite QSO in 1965. That moment gave rise to a new era for ham radio, and in the years that followed, as more satellites populated the skies, the international community developed a zest for working the birds. AMSAT HB's trophy, which bears Hans Rudolf Lauber's call sign, is an honor conferred for achieving DX via ham radio satellites between the 2nd and the 15th of March. The competition is timed to coincide with the original two-day contact made on March the 10th, 1965. Only QSOs via low, medium and highly elliptical Earth orbit satellites will be permitted, and on the final day, hams will be permitted to use a geostationary satellite for a single contact with HB9RG, the bonus station. For details and rules, follow the link in the text version of this week's Newsline script at arnewsline.org. This is John Williams, VK4JJW.
And that's all from the Amateur Radio Newsline, your independent source for amateur radio news since 1976 at arnewsline.org. With Graham Kemp, VK4BB, Kevin Trotman, N5PRE, John Williams, VK4JJW, Karen Eve Murray, KD2GUT at the news desk in New York, and our news team across the globe, I'm Don Wellbanks, AE5DW. 7-3. We'll see you next time here on Ham Nation. Now, here's the solar update from Dr. Tamitha Skov, WX6SWW.
space weather this week is calming down a bit compared to last week. As we take a look at our Earth-facing disk, we do still have a lot of active regions in Earth view, with the fray being led by region 4366. This region is continuing to fire big solar flares, but it's nothing like the X factor we had last week. Also, because of the configuration of this magnetic field of this region, it really has a lot of open field all in here, so it hasn't really been firing any big solar storms. All of the big solar storm material is located right around up in here. And so most of the solar storms that have been launched with this region have been going northward of Earth. So sadly, we just got nothing. And now this region is rotating out of the Earth strike zone, so we're not going to expect much more from it. We will be still seeing medium-sized solar flares, so R2 level radio blackouts are possible, likely more like R1 level, and it will continue to fire as it rotates around the Earth-facing disk. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, you've got about 2 or 3 more days of this to deal with, and then the noise kind of calms down just a little bit. But meanwhile, as we take a look at the rest of the disk, well, we have been watching a couple filaments. You can see one here and one here, but they've been pretty quiescent. The magnetic field configuration isn't really set up so much to kind of stress these filaments out very much, so they're going to pretty much stay pretty stable. We have kind of watched them, a bit of the plasma move back and forth a little bit, but nothing has really escaped. As we take a closer look at it, you can see here's one of them right here. It kind of gets a little bit destabilized, but it really doesn't launch. So we will be keeping an eye on these filaments here, but that's likely not the big story. We're going to be paying attention to this region here shortly, because that one has really got a bit more of a story to tell. The other story here is happening on the east limb. You can see these two regions here. These are some old friends rotating in from the sun's far side. These two regions, last rotation, ended up giving us some big solar flares and solar storms, so we're expecting it again. As we take a look at it in SDO AIA imagery, you can see all of these different coronal loops, but then we extend that by really defining it out with some SUVI imagery all the way out into the middle corona. You can actually see some of these loops, and if you take a really close look, you can actually see that the loops are connected. So it shows that these two regions are sympathetically tied to one another, so likely if one fires, the other will, and that is going to mean we're going to have some big solar flares from these regions. So we're going to have to pay close attention to that as they rotate into Earth view here over the next couple days. And now take a look at region 4371. Even though we didn't get these filaments firing, believe it or not, this one does right here. You'll see it go poof, poof, just like that. That is, believe it or not, a small Earth-directed solar storm. Not going to expect all that much from it. Probably going to give us just a little bit more than a bumpy ride, but all things considered, it could end up hitting us on the 12th and or possibly Friday the 13th. So aurora photographers, well, maybe if you're at high latitudes, you might get a chance for some aurora. And now taking a look at our full sun map, in order to construct this full map, we have to use imagery from multiple different instruments. In fact, for the front side of the sun, we use SDO AIA imagery. That's here in red. You see it over here too. You can see this is the east limb here, and then wrapped around is the west limb. So you're looking at the front side of the sun on the two edges of the image here. And then we have stereo A imagery, because if you take a look at the orbit circle, here's Earth, here's the sun, and here's stereo A staring at the sun slightly from the side. So that will be stereo A here, and you can see it in green. And then because we do not have any spacecraft on the far side of the sun staring at the sun from behind, well, we have to use JSOC HMI helioseismology far-sighted sounding in order to get an idea of what active regions might be lurking on the far side. That's here in gold, and you can see the far side active regions might be these dark regions. It's kind of hard to tell. Sometimes the sounding isn't all that great, but we can get a decent idea of what might be there. So let me set this in motion to get you calibrated. You can see region 4366 just firing up a storm right here. We've got a few other regions that have been rotating to the west limb. I'll get out of the way so you can see with stereo A imagery. You can see a couple of them here. Now we also have a couple new ones that are rotating into the Earth view on the east limb. Some of these old ones like region 4313. We have seen these regions before. Here's 4374. That just got numbered today. But we also are waiting for region 4341 and 4342. I think that's what this is right here. These two regions are the ones that we're seeing that are giving us a bit of a show on just behind the east limb right now. These are the ones that gave us big solar storms last time. And believe it or not, They are still active have been active on the far side. So we're expecting another round with them. So expect that radio blackouts will stay up at the R1 to R2 level. Can't really say we're going to have any R3 level radio blackouts yet because they don't look like they're that busy, but we shall see. And then in about 3 to 5 days, we're going to get yet another set of active regions rotating into Earth view. So amateur radio operators and emergency responders, expect the flare activity to stay reasonably high. Maybe not as high as last week, but it's definitely not going to go back down to being completely quiet because we do still have a lot of active regions that are going to be entering Earth view over the next 3 to 5 days. And then maybe after that, things will calm down for a week or so, but you're going to have to wait a little while for that to happen. And now switching to our solar storm conditions and aurora possibilities over the coming week, we are sitting at unsettled conditions right now, and this is because we're calming down from those last little bit of solar storms that have been kind of glancing blows. At high latitudes, NOAA is only expecting unsettled conditions, but we do have up to about a 25% chance of a minor storm. And then on Thursday into Friday, we could be seeing another little solar storm hit Earth. Not expecting all that much, especially because we've been so quiet for so long, but we could bump to active conditions and possibly up to about a 10% chance of a major storm. It all depends upon whether or not we're going to get caught in that fast solar wind. That's going to be starting a wind watch on the 14th. So aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, you definitely could get a show. Just going to have to wait for the models to come out to give us a better prediction of what the potential for that solar storm will be. Now, switching at mid latitudes, while we're still only expecting unsettled conditions for much of the week, but as we move into Friday, again, we're going to have that storm watch because of that aurora possibility with that mini solar storm that literally just launched. I'm giving us about a 10% chance of a minor storm because of that. But again, it's going to be hard to tell whether or not if it's going to be packed into this fast solar wind that we're going to be expecting, or it's going to come later. And it could be dragged out by the slow solar wind ahead of it. So it's really kind of hard to tell what the predictions for that the impact of that should be. So aurora photographers, if you're at mid latitudes, probably going to sit this one out, but I won't, if you're dedicated, maybe it might be an idea to chase it. Now, looking to our solar flare and dayside radio blackout outlook over the coming week, we are sitting at about a 165 for solar flux right now. This means a decent radio propagation and expecting that to stay pretty much the same, maybe with a slightly downward trend. And that's because region 4366 is rotating to the sun's far side. However, we still have severe noise on the dayside radio bands that'll drop down to a moderate noise level here over the next couple days. NOAA's giving us about a 65% chance of M-class flares at the R1 to R2 level radio blackout and still about a 25% chance of X-class flares. That's likely going to calm down. I'm going to say we're going to get down to a 40, possibly 35% chance of M-class flares and only about a 5% chance of X-class flares. And that's only if these old regions that are rotating back into Earth view aren't going to cause us too much trouble. But nonetheless, amateur radio operators and emergency responders expect to have the noise on the dayside bands continue throughout this next week, although things should be calming down just a little bit. And now, as far as our radiation storm and polar aviation outlook is concerned, well, everything is in the green. We are in the D1 normal range. This is at flight level 360 for you aviators. It's also S0 quiet range for everyone else. NOAA is giving us about a 25% chance of an S1 to S2 radiation storm. This is going to be over the next couple days, and then that's going to drop down probably to about 15% or so as region 4366 rotates to the sun's far side, and then probably down further as long as those new regions rotating into Earth view don't look, super surprising. If they're just kind of average, minor activity level, then we'll probably stick at 5%. But that might rise if those regions start showing more signs of activity. So we're going to have to pay attention to the ICAO advisories because this particular forecast could change quite quickly. So you aviators, and this does include flight crew, and you high-risk passengers, this week it looks like you're all in the clear. So the space weather this week is calming down compared to last week. Now we do have a small Earth-directed solar storm that could give us a little bit of a bumpy ride. Aurora photographers, if you're at high latitudes, it might be worth a look. Likely sometime late on Thursday and into Friday, possibly more into Friday because we've got a pocket of slow solar wind that it's chasing, and that's going to slow it down a bit. Now, aurora photographers, if you're at mid-latitudes, only if you're dedicated should you chase because I'm not expecting a lot from this storm. Now, amateur radio operators and emergency responders, well, we are saying goodbye to region 4366 this week. It is rotating to the sun's far side, but we do still have some noise on the dayside radio bands. It's going to drop a little bit, but we do have those new regions rotating into Earth view, and those are going to keep the risk for R1 to R2 level radio blackouts reasonably high. So we can't call it all quiet yet. And now you GPS users, well, it's not too bad for you this week. As long as you stay away from aurora on the night side and away from dawn and dusk, well, your GPS reception should be pretty good. I'm Tamitha Skov, the Space Weather Woman. Thank you for watching.
Great report. I tell you, she really is the only reason why I even have Twitter or X. So you should really follow her. I'm not a Twitter or X guy.
You're not a tweeter.
No, not really. And I'm probably the only guy that noticed this. But if you look back, if you want to rewind the tape and look when she's standing in front of the graphic showing the far side and the near side of the sun all together, she had the far side in the green and the gold, and she's wearing a purple shirt. It's Mardi Gras colors, baby. Mardi Gras. Like I said, I'm the only person that's ever going to notice that. But anyway, so check her out on X and also spaceweatherwoman.com, and a big thanks to the Newsline crew. And I just happened to notice today that we're about 2 weeks now from the opening of the Young Ham of the Year nomination period on March 1st.
Ooh.
So yeah, that's always the most stressful 3 months of my year, is watching the nominees come in, because you get one or two right at the beginning, and then it's like nothing for like 2.5 months, and then all of a sudden in the last 2 days it's like, the emails just pour in, which is great. We always get a good batch of nominees. So anyway, start thinking about it. The nomination period starts March 1st. Everything you want to know is at arnewsline.org. Just look under the awards tab, or just shoot me an email or something, whatever you need. Anyway, that's all I've got. Now it's time to go over and see what the Amanda is doing with the Hammett, Cammett, or what Hammett, damn it.
Well, we've got a great Hammett or Cammett, and you contributed as well. So I appreciate that.
Oh, good.
Yes, you'll find out. And I also should they?
I'm scared now, actually, a little bit.
You're funny.
Yeah.
Where
Let's
am I?
smell and everything.
Okay. So we're gonna discuss ARES first.
Yes.
Should they have called ARES? And this is actually just a rebuttal to 2 weeks ago. So I spotlighted somebody who said Starlink is it now, and ARES, there's no need for radio. Starlink will handle all of our emergencies. And he tried to make a good argument, Craig did, and he's thinking about using Starlink for emergencies for personal use. Perfectly fine.
Yeah.
But let's discuss. So let's say nobody has anything else except for Starlink, and everybody is operating on Starlink, and you got your phone. You're like, hey, I have an emergency. Who are you calling? And how are they responding to your emergency if all anybody has is Starlink currently to handle that emergency? So here's how I'm here to discuss. Cell phones are an insane way to operate during an emergency on the standpoint of a first responder or law enforcement or your 911 telecommunications center, because you might make your phone call. Maybe somebody's having a heart condition at your home during a snowstorm, and all that's working is Starlink, and only Wi-Fi call is working at this point in time. You don't even know if your 911 is working. Well, it probably is, but your 911 is getting forwarded to another region outside of your district. So they're handling the 911 calls. 911 still works. Perfect. Fine. But let's say you need to get that ambulance and there's a snowstorm and nobody has phones out in the field, or nobody has radios out in the field. So they're all operating on phones. So dispatch outside of your area is answering your call, trying to put it into a computer, but they don't know if dispatch in your district is actually going to get that. So then they're calling, they're making phone calls, and you might see an ambulance an hour and a half later. That's scenario one. Okay. Let's go to just we're servicing, again, we're only relying on Starlink. Every evacuation center would have Starlink, so somebody there would have a phone. But when you're trying to get a hold of that evacuation center and you're trying to find out if they need supplies and stuff, you're relying on a phone again. You don't know whose number that is. You don't have a way to contact who's in charge. So it could be you have a phone number, but you call that number and they're like, oh, I'm not at the evacuation center. I went out to go pick up water. So-and-so is there. Well, do you have their number? No, I don't have their number. Guess why you don't have their number? Because it's not typical. So Craig, to just please consider that you might have your personal phone still with using Starlink, but everybody else around isn't necessarily going to have that same opportunity. So yes, you can make your emergency call, but who are you calling and for what? So cell phones just really don't work in emergency or even in a planned event. Let's go to a parade. And it's just easier if everybody had a radio so that information can be broadcasted. Instead of having to call individuals all the way down the line of maybe a switch up, just a lineup change. You're calling and they don't answer because they can't hear their phone because it's stuck in their back pocket. Radio is essential in so many ways. I cannot explain it. Yes, your phone is handy to make those back chatter conversations, but it's not going to work in an emergency, and Starlink is not 100%, and it's not going to save your life all the way. Okay. So there has to be a middle ground. And so the idea of Starlink is a replacement for radio is 100% false on so many levels. And I could go over like 60,000 different scenarios of why, but Craig, don't yell at me on X. I know what I'm talking about. And I wouldn't say it if I didn't know it. And I'm really good at this. So I know a lot about it. I don't even like it. I'm not really an ARES fan, but I'm just really good at it.
So can I go back a step just on that? So I think one of his fundamental parts of that argument is if the phones are working, then ham radio may take a back seat. That may be completely true, but also it's like you've already kind of narrowed it to just one thing, saying the phones work. Well, I don't think we should ever plan for just like one contingency. And you're already kind of narrowing your focus by just saying, oh, here are the rules of this hypothetical emergency. Well, then if we only prepare for this hypothetical emergency, then we will inevitably find ourselves not in that hypothetical emergency. And then you'll not be prepared. So I always get kind of like, when we start going down this road of like, one must be better than the other, there are situations where one will be better and there are situations where another will be better. But not preparing on either one of those things means you have opened yourself up to risk. So have both. No one is forcing us to go all one way or all another way. And we should interoperate with those other systems as much as possible. And I think, Amanda, you've advocated for that from the beginning. So we've never said it's only ham radio. If anyone has ever thought that, I'm not saying they do. I'm not saying Craig's saying that in this case. But like I always get kind of weirded out when we start going down the one must win. This isn't the Highlander where, we start cutting things heads off and aiming for the quickening, right? It's you prepare for all of it. You prepare for all of it. Yeah.
How are these things powered?
They'll take 12
So
volt.
yes, you can do 12 volts. So you can
Okay.
do some battery operations out of it.
Okay.
But if you were to put it at maybe a hospital or or a
Right.
school,
Yeah.
then they're probably going to have backup power. So you
Probably.
find that
Probably.
hopefully. Now, it's
But
sometimes
now,
their generators don't kick in. So you always
going
need to
back
prepare for
to
that too.
my experience, and I realize this was 20 years ago and pre-Starlink, Katrina.
Yes.
Nothing worked. There was no power. There was nothing. The area was underwater for weeks. And it was a long time before any power was restored. So, okay, you got your handy dandy little 12 volt Starlink, and you're on that until the battery dies, but you got no way to charge the battery. And your cell phone probably doesn't work anyway, because my cell phone didn't ring for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
And you couldn't charge it. And
no,
let's talk
well,
about
I mean,
that
I
more.
could because we were up in Little Rock, Arkansas. So I could, but the people down here, we evacuated. We were lucky to be able to evacuate. There are people down here who don't have the wherewithal to get a car to drive to work, much less, drive 500 miles away to go evacuate on something. So,
But in something like that, you couldn't even
it's
go
a tool.
5 miles.
Starlink is it's one tool in the bag.
Absolutely. So I
That's
bet
the whole thing. Yeah.
during the emergency, like they're going to say, oh, we've got the warehouse full of these Starlinks ready to deploy. Well, then it gets so bad and you can't travel 2 blocks with
Right.
these. So they're all sitting in one place.
Right.
And unless you have this pre-planned and everybody has been distributed and you have
Right.
like official relay Starlink stations and you know where
Right.
they are, forget it. It's never going to
Exactly.
happen. In this last snowpocalypse that
Yep.
happened
Or
in
Asheville.
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly.
mountains
Specifically Asheville.
washed out roads.
Yeah.
So
Specifically. That's right.
airdrop only. Okay, that's
Right.
great. They did start airdropping the satellite, the Starlink satellite connections, but it
Yeah.
took them at least a week to do that because they're
Right.
more worried about getting water and necessary to live items.
Exactly.
And then they
Right.
started to distribute that. So
Right.
I don't care how pre-planned you are, and you don't depend on the government, and B,
Yeah.
I mean, for at least 3 days,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
So you got to be prepared at least 3 to 5 days of
Yeah.
no support whatsoever.
Right.
And then you need some prayer. And then, self-sufficiency. So get your radios, even if I don't care if it's ham radio, GMRS, whatever it takes to survive and to talk to somebody else. You do at that point in time because you have no idea.
And you can't rely just on your local first responders and police and fire and all that people. Do you know who the first people who got to my house was?
The Shriners.
This is Shriners. There was a big like X on my door that was spray painted on there, and in each quadrant of the X was a particular data point. Like there was a 0 meaning there were no dead bodies in there. There was something else meaning the power was off. There was something else meaning that the gas had been turned off. And the 4th quadrant was a code as to who it was who got there and checked your house and put that on there. It was CTF-1, which was the Canadian Task Force 1. The Canadians were the first people to get to my house. Not the people in St. Bernard Parish, Louisiana, where I lived, the freaking Canadians, and God bless them. And I will forever be grateful to the folks up in North Little Rock who were so nice to us when we spent a couple of weeks up there. But anyway, yeah, you got to have all the tools in your box because they're not all going to work.
That's correct. And your local response, again, they might be having their own family problems and evacuating themselves or snowed in themselves and can't get anywhere out to help as well. So that's why ARES also has to work with their outlying districts because of the same thing. They might need to worry about their own families, and you need other ARES people to come in to help out. And so always train with your other ARES groups. Don't close them off.
Right.
Okay. Again, I could talk about this for like 100 years. I swear. So now we're ready for Ham It or Can It.
Oh,
and
good.
I made an intro now, Josh. So
I like it. Look at that.
Not an awkward.
I love it.
This is just a random. Should you join an amateur radio club? I'm sure there is more involved in this person's post, but always join an amateur radio club. And if you don't feel like you're a good fit in there, or they're not, they don't have like the same programs or things that you're interested in, find another club. There's
Sample all of them.
3 people, there's 4 clubs. So that's all I can say about that.
That's right.
You will find a club, and yes, join it. It's $25 a year typically, and it's going to support usually a lot of local repeaters and things like that. So okay, this is James always has the funniest things, and I cut off
We
his
love
logo. I'm
James.
sorry,
Quirky
James.
QRP.
Yes, he's got the cutest little vent clip holder for your
sweet.
HT, and I love that because I get so mad at Jeff. We get into the pickup truck, and we've lost the 2 cup holders down below because there's a radio mounted there. So now all we have is the 2 console cup holders, and it just always phone and wallet in one and a radio in the other, and I have nowhere to put any of my stuff. And that would solve one of these problems. And I think it's excellent. And I know this is just 3D printed, and anyone could probably make one themselves, but he already has it made, and I think it's pretty cheap. So
okay, in Jeff's defense, it's a truck. You got the whole bed.
What?
Fill up the bed with Mountain Dew.
Yeah.
And the back seat has like the dog thing in it, so it's just made for dogs to sit in there. And it's
Again, you got the bed.
Even the dog has a cup holder.
I know. 2 at least.
Everybody but you.
Man, it ain't easy
Speaking
being
of
you, is it?
3D, I know you guys have
First
no
world
sympathy
problems.
for me whatsoever. I'm just gonna go put on my tiara and go pout on my throne
Again?
again.
Some more? Still?
This is cute too. 3D printed part for
I love
Ohio
it.
Pro 7s. Isn't that adorable?
That's
And
great.
I need that.
it looks so fancy, pantsy, and
I
expensive.
like it.
And I do. I really like that.
Now,
It's really
here's the
good.
thing. If you make a cool thing, it's 3D printed, share the link. Post that on
I
Printables.
know.
I'm sitting there going, where's the link? And nobody replied.
Yeah.
I want to reply to him and be like, hey, man, put that up on Printables. Share it.
Yes, do that, please. Crowdsource, get it out there. Let everyone
right.
have one. Oh, this is awful.
Oh, no. Oh,
This
no.
is a lesson of this is what happens when you don't strap your coax down to a tower. And this person's up like really, really high. It's a video.
Oh,
and
you
I
can
just took
see it. I
a
can see it just in
screenshot
look
of
how
it.
blurry the background
Yeah.
is.
Secure your heliacs, my people. Oh my, and you know how expensive this stuff is?
Very.
It's at least $8 to $12 a foot now. So yeah. Ouch.
Mm-mm-mm.
Now you know why there was some high SWR and some other interference problems going on. Gordo, what say you? Does it
Moisture
make your
ingress.
brain hurt?
What caused the failure? What ate it?
Wind, just
was
vibration
rubbing,
against the
yeah.
tower.
Oh, rubbing against it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Let
I
it go
just wrap some
woodchuck.
tape around it and call it good. Yeah.
Oh,
Got it.
yeah.
Put
That's
some
what you
RTV in there and seal it up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No.
That's the
Flex
JB
seal.
Weld goes
Flex
there, right?
seal.
That's where you put the JB
Flex
Weld.
seal.
Oh yes.
We're full of Flex seal.
That's it.
No.
You run
Yeah.
some power and vaporize the moisture
Oh.
out of there. Yeah.
Okay, next thing. This is just
Ooh,
so
that's
cool
neat.
looking.
Is that
I have
real?
I
I
don't
need that, whatever it
it
is.
appears to be real. It has like a model number, Sony CB transceiver. Isn't this thing amazing looking? And it's so clean.
That's got to be like a Japanese.
It is Japanese. I
market
already
deal,
pulled it
yeah.
up.
Squelch volume.
Oh, I need one.
Hold my
pretty
beer.
much.
Oh my gosh. It's
How
not
much is it?
cheap.
Oh,
I'm
really?
sure it's not.
Yeah, I found it. It's five. I
I
see an
started to
ad
say
for
$500.
$500.
Wow.
Oh wow! But it's
And it's
available.
only a half a watt.
Oh
eight channel
man.
half a watt for $515.
That is so
Hard
Sony
pass.
though. I love it.
I mean, it's cool, but hard pass.
It's
on
very cool.
And Josh should
And
get one.
Yeah, hold on. Hold my beer.
I don't know who ham radio stuff is, so
Yeah,
I don't know if
he's ordering
they're
it right now off Amazon or
Yeah.
AliExpress or
eBay,
whatever
yeah.
he's ordering it off of. Who knows?
It
Oh
only
my
it
God.
only
Does it
runs
work?
on 12 AA's.
Yeah.
What? I bet those don't last long. Of course, you said it was
No.
a half a watt.
It's only a half a watt. Yeah, according to that graphic that he pulled up.
Okay.
Yeah.
This was hate mail to Josh in
Uh-oh.
a real random way. I got a QSL card in the mail, and this person puts fan from Ham Nation twit. Not so much since Josh. Ah,
Oh well,
Oh, wow.
can't please everybody, and today
That's
just
a
isn't your day,
cannon.
is it?
Anyhow, he had also mentioned he did services at the print shop at Estes, which Estes Rockets is about
Oh, yeah.
15 minutes away from here.
That's
And
neat.
they did used to have like a huge print shop. Now, the crazy thing is my print shop, my dad, when they closed their print shop, they reached out to my dad and said, "Do you want all of our old stuff?
Oh
And
wow.
would you like to also take over our printing?" So we printed for Estes for years before it went to
Neat.
Mexico and to China. And so I still have old like print shop ink from Estes that's not usable, but
Wow.
it's still in these old cans in their pre-mixed special Pantone colors and stuff like that. So anyhow,
Neat.
other things you guys didn't need to know. Okay. This antenna mounts, these are very cool, but does this not seem like this is really, really heavy load on your hood of your car with like aluminum cars now and
Can
things
you
like
zoom in a
that?
little bit on the bigger
Yeah.
the ATOS? It is the wide mount. It will handle it. You see that little lip that goes over the side? So that's given a
Yes.
little rigidity. If you it can work. It can work.
Okay. don't think I would do it. Especially because this is a big old van, and I think I would find something up here
Mm-hmm.
or something to mount
Yeah.
it. But if you're traveling and you're just putting it up once you're stopped, maybe I would be worried to death about wind load and things like that. But okay.
However, be sure you adjust before you slam that closed.
Yes.
The little lip,
yeah.
or else you'll take off a portion of your paint.
Oh, and you would be very unhappy about that.
Yeah.
Okay, this is just I love the look of this antenna, and I don't know if anyone has any experience with it, but it is so adorable.
Yeah,
Um,
I do.
you do?
Not great.
Do you like it? No?
Not great.
Not great.
Pretty
like
noisy,
a
not
miracle
high
whip.
enough, kind of things like that.
Yeah, it's like a mag loop without really being a mag loop kind of thing. So those little nubbins at the top, they've added that loop to it, and then you kind of tune it in. So it's almost like it's kind of like a delta loop, but not full full length.
It's called the Wonder One because you wonder why you can't hear nobody.
Yeah.
So, like, if you were to put that on your 705 and you don't have the tuner and stuff, it's probably not gonna.
You manually tune it with that little dial.
Oh,
That's
okay.
on the box.
Okay, got
It would work fine as a receiver for some louder stations, but transmitting on it is not great.
Good.
Well, as
Good
they
to know.
say at the antenna forum at Pacificon every year, all antennas work. Some work better than others.
Yeah, that's
true.
right. That's exactly.
And I've had a few. Yeah.
Yeah.
And in honor of the Olympics, I found an Olympic radio. So this
There you
is
go.
so.
Oh, there you
this
go.
is
Oh,
so
look at
cute.
that.
It's like an AM, I believe. Tuning range 530 to
Mhm.
1650. I just
Yep.
thought it was pretty cute. So
That's neat. Cool.
see how Ted, I'm with you. Like I would be worried about RF on that 40
Yeah.
meter,
Yeah.
like transmitting and having my dogs walk around
Right.
there and stuff. I would be. I mean, I could accidentally be having my hand on it, but I don't think I would do that. But
No, you'd only do
yeah,
it once.
I would be.
You wonder why you can't hear anybody, and you wonder why all of a sudden you don't have a thumbprint anymore.
I have a scar right here from an RF burn 70 watts on an
Ooh.
APRS antenna. So someone told
Yeah.
me, like, here, hold this. And then no, it was hot, like transmitting. And
Yeah.
I've been holding it, you know me, I'm like, la, 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 la. And then all of a sudden I feel this burning sensation. I didn't know it was transmitting every 5 minutes.
Mhm.
The
About
old-
about
quick, huh?
150 watts on a CB radio antenna back in the day. I've
Oh,
got one of
no.
those too. One time.
This is contributed by our own Dawn.
Oh yeah, this is real, by the way. That
So
KQID is a real radio station.
every
That-
morning
that had to
does
have
have
been
a story.
that was clearly that was an FM stick and not an AM. So.
I was gonna say they're not doing okay if they're.
No, that's clearly an AM.
The
stick.
gentleman is shooting blanks. If you catch my drift. There.
Mhm.
So
Hey,
this
that's
is
why that's why we had to adopt because I worked for a year right behind a 50,000 watt transmitter. I am fully confident in that assessment. That's why we had to adopt.
So this is your weekly PSA. Okay.
Yeah.
No, I
Get
know
off
it's
the tower.
Valentine's Day and everything, but no hanky panky on the towers.
No.
Is there a photo that goes with that?
Video?
Sadly, no.
The
No.
emergency room does have their stories, though.
I'm sure they do.
Okay. That's it for this week, everybody. And oh my gosh, you've already gone. I was like, I'm glad I didn't get a guest on for tonight. Can say that much. Okay, let's put a bow on this before I blush myself out of the room. We have D-StarNet going, and Paul wasn't going to be there tonight. He had his fill-in, and I think Tom WY7KY is on 40 meters, look around 7192. Other than that, everybody have a fun time in Orlando, and happy Valentine's Day.
Yes.
Go
yes.
USA. All of
Yes.
the things.
Yes.
Happy Mardi Gras.
Oh yes, and happy
Good
Mardi
DX.
Gras.
I will hopefully see some of you at Hamcation. Make sure you come up and say hi. I've got stickers. But yeah, we'll talk to you in 2 weeks here on Ham Nation. Thanks everybody for watching. And 73.
Good night.